Hello, everyone, and welcome. And I say welcome back, that is, to Anti-Life Reviews. I am your new god, the Twin Micaiah, and where have I been? If you care, I know you do. Has been a while since you've seen me, heard me, whatever. Well, I had some serious health issues and still have some ongoing ones. I had surgery on my throat, so my voice sounds a little different. Like I said, Tom Waitsy in my other review, that's why. I won't get into a pity party for myself, as I am excited to talk about comics with you. But I want to bring up something you may have noticed. I have new opening music. It's made by a good friend of mine, Lydia Doward, that is, and her partner Peter Sauter. She is a fellow Twin Peaks memer, like myself, running the Buffy the Twin Peaks page. I'm so thankful for them for making me something special. And I've linked her Instagram and SoundCloud down below. Thank you again. And with that, I'm going to kind of reboot where I left off, looking at comic works that give me a nostalgia boner of sorts. Starting off, continuing, etc., whatever you want to say it, with an IDW published comic that ran from October to December in the year of our Lord 2014. It is the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Meet the Ghostbusters. So hit subscribe and let's strap on our unlicensed nuclear accelerators. Writers and artists on this, the writers are Eric Burnham and Tom Walzitz. Eric is a regular writer on various Ghostbusters comics through the years, and Tom is actually a fairly regular editor on those books, so I guess they've worked together a good bit. Artist on this is Dan Schooning. He's worked on Godzilla, Transformers, Ghostbusters, all manner of IP-led comics, and has a fairly interesting style that, of course, I'll talk about later. Moving to the issues, we learn about some immortals that used to rule over the earth, including Chi-Yu, and we see they dealt with Krang, or one of his race, years and years ago. In the present, Donatello is working with a scientist on an interspatial teleporter, and of course he wants to use it despite many objections. Thanks to a fly, of course, the scientist inexplicably switches a spatial distortion switch that they installed for some reason, and the turtles are not transported home, but somewhere else. Where did they go? The Ghostbusters universe, of course, or we wouldn't have a comic here. And they end up at a church during a wedding. So does demon, ninja, minotaur, warlord Chi-Yu, who escaped from his bondage. The turtles resolve themselves to fight the demon, so it's their fault he's free. So they do. And he has the power to possess people when he does this very thing to Casey Jones. Of course, the Ghostbusters show up and the demon flees. The two hero teams fight a bit before realizing they have a lot in common. And Venkman calls the turtles Kung Fu Martians. So now they must work together to beat Chi-Yu, save Casey Jones, and modify the ghost containment unit into a portal to get the turtles back home within 72 hours, or they will dissolve. Well, they take it to Chi-Yu the first time, including using a proton cannon, which is cool. They fail to trap the monster or get Casey. Well, Chi-Yu decides the best defense is a good offense and begins turning people, mostly hockey players, into demon ninjas who are all built like Bolo Young. Chi-Yu attacks the Ghostbusters firehouse and we get our obligatory big final fight with the power of teamwork. They take down Chi-Yu, save Casey, and the turtles and friends go back to their own reality. And Chi-Yu is tossed into the void, ending the comic with a little bit of a cliffhanger. So let's talk about this, starting with the art. I went into this really unsure of the art, the reason being that they used two different art styles for the characters. Turtles look like your kind of classic Ninja Turtles that we all remember. Distinct in personality, weapons, and color-coded eye wraps. But little else, really. I mean, they're pretty simple characters. But the Ghostbusters needed something else. They are people differentiated in the fact they are human beings that look different. But the Busters here look a lot more like them from the Extreme Ghostbusters cartoon series that ran in 1997. It wasn't a bad show, though I've not seen it probably since 1997. But the art style was unique enough and different enough that the Busters can all be easily distinguished, mostly thanks to their hair color or style, and obviously Winston, who is black. Now, this also works with the Turtles because the highly stylized Ghostbusters fit in well with the natural oddness of the Turtles. So, yeah, I didn't love the art. It worked well and it flowed. I also enjoyed the ghosts, though, I want to say. We got Slammer, who looked good, and a Doom Cacodemon looking ghost thing, which I liked. Though I do have to say the villain and his thralls were highly uninspired looking. They looked like, like Killer Khan or something like that. R.I.P. Just really generic looking, sort of 70s pro wrestling Mongolian look. Yeah. As far as the writing goes, the story itself was, it was bog standard. A meet up between two intellectual properties. Something happens, they meet, they fight, they realize we need to work together. They do. At the end. That being said, how the characters are written is really the strength of the story, as everyone felt like the character they were supposed to be. More exaggerated versions of the character, yes. That's necessary because of the amount of characters and the length. This isn't some long-winded look into the psyche and pathos of these characters. It's a team-up. But I love the parallels we got in the teams, which kind of went like this. Raphael and Vankman, probably the most obvious one, sarcastic loner who loves his partners but doesn't mind telling them the issues he has with them in his own charming asshole way. They're the wittiest of them. Donatello and Egon, intelligent to a fault, but also dismissive of things they assume is not scientifically viable. Absent-minded, but lovable, the intelligence of the team, obviously. Leonardo and Winston, maybe not the leader, but the stoic man in front, a kind of glue that keeps these other chaotic bodies together thanks to their calm, composed, and awful thoughtful nature. They're the most military-minded. Michelangelo and Ray, a sense of childlike wonder, goofy but knowledgeable, likes to go to the furthest, wackiest place instead of taking the sensible first step. Often, it's often a punchline. Of course, I don't think Michelangelo ever got sucked off by a ghost. And April and Janine, sassy redhead backups and level-headed, but quick to temper. Janine also gets a wicked gauntlet proton blaster, which was really cool. Casey was the odd man out, and he was evil for most of it. There was also secondary characters like this doctor and some other girl who works for the Ghostbusters. And I usually do my due diligence in looking into these people, but I've not kept with these IPs for years, and I have no plan to begin to do that, really. So forgive me for not really caring about these ancillary people. Yeah, the writing of these characters is well done and felt natural for them to meet and interact. So kudos there. It's easy to make this kind of thing a crossover, just be garbage. And I know there was a sequel to this. Maybe I'll check it out one day. If you guys want me to, let me know. Oh, well, this was a fairly decent crossover that didn't overstay its welcome, and the characters were not changed enough after years of adventure that an old fan such as myself couldn't easily pick this up and know exactly who is who, why they are that way, and what's going on. So if you're looking for a comic book about these two franchises and don't know where to start, this might not be a terrible place to see if you might like the other comics. Having read a number of Turtles comics over the years, some of them can be a little inaccessible, like with any other long-running genre to get into. Ghostbusters tend to be more, 4 issues, 2 issues, one and done, easier to pick up, though not always the most interesting thing. So yeah. Well, that was Ghostbusters meets the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or the other way around, if you wish. Which one of these characters from each team are your favorite, and why are they Raphael and Dr. Peter Venkman? Let me know down below. Next week we'll be looking at a comic based on a cartoon. I seem to be the only one of the few people who recall and have enjoyed said cartoon. It is the 4 issues published by Marvel for the Phantom 2040. Will I enjoy the comic? Well, I'll be here to find out, I guess. Don't forget to have me on Instagram under DemonPeaks for niche Twin Peaks memes. You can look at my Patreon if you want and give me $1, and don't forget that I'm the only demon that loves you. Don't listen to the rest of them. From the TNMT, goodbye.